Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the show. I couldn't sleep last night. Today we've got a university president, Silicon Valley. We're talking $10,000 a year tuition, 91% of students on scholarship, first gen entrepreneurs getting full ride. Folks, this is more than an infomercial. This is going to be a very, very robust exchange. And oh, by the way, the man running this place has a PhD in counseling psychology and has probably never written a line of code in his life, but maybe he can correct me on that. Nick Ladany, president of San Francisco Bay University. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Joe. Great to be here.
So let's just say that we both caught an on-time flight from SFO to Chicago, but we've got no Wi-Fi, and I'm your seatmate. Are we talking to each other?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm telling you all about what we're doing and getting you excited and shocking you with everything that we're doing, no matter what your profession, no matter what
tell me some of the stuff, because I can't Google you. So tell me what you want me to know that I just can't Google about what you're doing in that amazing institution that you're leading.
Appreciate that. But let me start by saying, first of all, I did write some early code long, long ago, but in a very different place now. Computer science wasn't even really a full major when I was going to school. So, but not all that to say, I am here at San Francisco Bay University. We're in the Bay Area. We are doing some what I think are extraordinary things in higher education. We focus on accessibility, affordability, and disruption. And most universities will say that, but I think very few are actually doing it. And so we are doing things like you mentioned, not just a $10,000 tuition, but on average, our students are paying about $1,600. Now that will change over time, and I'll tell you a bit more about what that looks like in the future. But we are basically building a university from scratch. I came here a little less than 3 years ago, was given all these resources to build a university from scratch. We were doing quite well. Financially, we have a $300 million endowment. It's not even an endowment, technically. It's a fund, an unrestricted fund, if you can imagine. And I was told, but the problem is we had those very few students. So I was told, reshape the university, come in, build a university in the way you've always thought a university should be built. So I hired a whole bunch of folks who I like to say have a healthy disgruntlement with higher education.
I love that.
They are very excited, incredibly intelligent, thoughtful visionaries. And we get together in a room every week and talk about what do we need to do next. And basically the idea is build this university that does things like, you already talked about our low tuition model, but we do it in a way that...
Just for context, what is the average? I mean, across America, is it about 38, 40?
Yeah, depending on private versus public, but you're right in the ballpark.
Private, non-public, 4 years, probably in that ballpark.
Absolutely, a little bit higher. But yeah, so you got it. So, but what we're said is basically, let's put our money where we really need it, which is the students. So dirty little secret in higher education is faculty have never been trained in how to teach.
Here it comes.
There it is. Faculty have never been trained in how to teach. There's no other industry in the world where you would have your primary workforce have no education or training in how to do the job, which is what we want them to do primarily is teach. Now, we want them to do research. They're more or less trained in doing research, but they're not trained how to teach. And that's
Wait a second. I need to back that up because either I didn't hear you right or you said something that maybe I don't even agree with. But did you say that your faculty come into position without the skill set and the competencies to teach?
Nationally and internationally, most faculty have never had pedagogical training, never understand how to run a classroom, how to create a learning environment, and how to assess learning.
So you're pointing to that as a universal problem in all of probably even K-12, K-12 and higher education.
No, I would say K-12, they actually get trained. They do get about 2 years of training in how to teach. Now, they may not be good. I would say, there's varying levels of effectiveness, as there are in higher education. But the bottom line is faculty have never really received adequate professional training in how to teach.
In both
Which is
pedagogy and andragogy, because you're
correct.
dealing with, yeah.
You got it. So, that's why I think in general at every university, from the most elite to the least elite, a third of faculty are excellent because they work on it and they try to do it. A third are maybe mediocre, and a third are incompetent. And you see this at every university, because if you go back and think about your faculty at where you got educated, you'll be like, I remember the really awful faculty. How did they get that job? How did they keep that job? So what we've said is we are going to train our faculty how to teach. We're going to make sure they're industry linked so that they actually are teaching things that they know and updated on the skills or on the industry skills that are needed. So we're doing that. We are keeping our tuition low, but low enough as we scale, we will be net positive in our revenues. So we are going to be launching an MBA, what we're calling our MBA Pro Plus, in the next few months. The entire MBA is going to be for $10,000. The entire MBA. We are all in on AI.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a bit more about that. So, every university is dipping their toe in AI to some extent. We've actually built AI, what we're calling blending, integrating AI with HI, meaning AI with human interaction. So we've done a human-centered design AI professor who interacts with the student in a self-paced way. And we also have AI experiences. So I'll give you a good example of that. So anyone can teach Harvard skills of negotiation. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just a lecture. We can do that. We can do that with an AI professor that teaches that, and the student interacts with that professor and learns. Then they have to apply those skills in an AI experience, where, as an example, we have a student interact with a boss, an AI avatar boss, and the student has to negotiate for a salary increase using the skills they just learned about.
Wait, this is stuff that you're like envisioning might be happening in a classroom someday, correct?
Happening now. We are in the final stages of getting ready to implement. We're using a national sample of faculty to validate what we're doing, to make sure we're doing it well. We've got the guardrails in place. Can't show you an example now. It would take too much of your time, but happy to at some point share that with you. So it is that Star Trek-esque approach to learning, teaching and learning.
Where does then the HI come into play?
So the students then get to meet with faculty with what we think faculty do best, which is they mentor. These are the human faculty. They mentor them. We do it in classes of 20. We're going to be doing it in classes of 20. We already have capped our classes at 20, but we are going to continue that in this space where they are going to meet with faculty to do mentoring, community building, pro-social networking, teaching them how to get jobs if this is at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level. How do you maximize your social network if you want to get a new job or if you want to get promoted within the organization that you're in.
So is this part of the playbook that you brought from your previous institution? Both of them are in the Sweet 16 now, aren't they? Both of these institutions.
No, I don't think University of Maryland is either. But Maryland won the championship a number of years ago. They did. But part of the challenge has been we created this.
So you didn't
all ourselves.
Have this game plan coming in, interviewing for this position to reconstruct all of higher education in the Silicon Valley. You built a team, and then you started to just whiteboard marker what is broken with our existing system, and you began to problem solve that on the spot.
Correct. We've started, exactly. It's been a dream job. I've enjoyed it. We do things and we try things, and if they don't work, we pivot. And that's the thing you don't see in higher education. It's pivoting a battleship versus pivoting more of a speedboat or a rowboat even. But you got to move fast. But if you see something that's not working, you can't just keep going down that path, which is why we ended up moving into the AI space so quickly, because we we were able to see what was happening, find a small company that was a lot like us, kind of two guys in a garage, and said, hey, work with us in writing the code, because you don't want me writing code these days, but these guys are brilliant, and they're integrating our pedagogical approach into the AI experience. So it's quite clever, and students get rated and evaluated immediately, and if they don't do well, they can try it again. So the whole idea is learning with skills and experiences that they can take with them when they look for a job.
My guess is when you step across the curb of your university, that is the velocity and the speed of change that you're seeing across your community partners. So they get you, right?
Correct.
And you're learning that temperament or the essence of really building students for the era that they're going to be walking into.
Student-centered experience. It's all about what do we do to help the students learn. And we're incredibly rigorous. I would say we're more rigorous than any institution because we have high expectations of our students. What we don't do is what universities do, which is don't care about students for the most part once they're admitted. All this money is put into the admissions process, but no one's looking at, do they graduate? So national averages for graduation are somewhere hovering around 50% or less. Some are much less. By the way, that's a 4-year institutions. What you may or may not know is a lot of universities use 6-year graduation rates as the metric, which is insane if you just step back and say, our 4-year institution graduation rate is based on a 6-year metric, soon to be 8-year metric. That's what they're pushing. Let me tell you, whoever the marketing folks are for higher ed that did that, brilliant move, awful consumer move.
My guess is you go to these conferences and you probably don't have very many friends doing similar work out there, Nick.
I don't.
You start in this place of envisioning what might be, and you're invisible. Nobody knows who you are. And then you start talking, and then people think you're kind of silly. They're just laughing at you. Right. And then it starts to move into the application of it, and you're showing some results. And then people are leaning in a little bit, and the jealous ones start to think, well, they're breaking the rules. They're breaking the wrong rules. Is that kind of the trajectory that you've been on?
Absolutely. So, I'm not a quiet person, but I will say things like, we've built AI professors. Say that in a meeting. And then someone else will say, one day we're going to have AI professors. And I'll have to raise my hand and say, I just said we've already done that. We're ahead there. You all need to catch up. And that's where, people will either gravitate toward because they want to learn, or they move away.
My hand is up. I've got a question.
Go for it.
So if you've got AI faculty members, do you have an AI faculty senate to ensure that those faculty members receive all the preferences that they desire to have? I mean, that also is playing a little tongue in cheek, right? Because that's many times it's the power struggle right on the ground floor of every university. It's whatever the arms crossed, resistance happens to be.
That's right. Well, I would say that the AI professors are our human professors. We digitize them. They are building it out. They're the ones that are providing all that we need, that human-centered approach. So our professors are very diverse. So you see our different professors as their avatar. So they have control over that. And I will say at the same time, my experience is that university senates are places where good ideas go to die.
Amen.
That mainly because university faculty are emboldened and motivated by self-interest these days, far more than they used to be. It's all about the loudest person in the room.
Was designed. I mean, let's not get angry about it. It's the way that the system was designed. So in order to escape that, you've got to build a different system.
You do. And I think we need to call them out. I mean, I think what you find is that faculty, it's the loudest voices in the room. And I will say, again, third of the faculty are outstanding, but they're usually the ones head down doing their work. It's that Senate or that whatever advisory council. It's like they believe they know all this stuff. And by the way, I've heard this before. This is one of my favorite comments about my faculty is, we own the curriculum. You don't own the curriculum. You don't even know what a curriculum design is. You've never been trained in it. who do you think you are? It's like saying I'm a surgeon, therefore I should operate on everything. If you've never been trained, that you could call yourself a surgeon, but if you haven't been trained in doing it, means you're probably not very good at it.
I think
And
both
that's
of
what
us
we've
are
seen.
we're gonna get canceled. Both of us are gonna get canceled.
That's
So
okay.
I'm going to shift gears here. I want to know what does a counseling psychologist see about a university that a traditional administrator just flat out misses?
I think a lot of it has to do with the relationships, and I don't mean to say that many university presidents don't know how to build relationships. They do. I think the difference for me as a psychologist, and someone who has also family therapy training, which helps in seeing systems, is you can see where the dysfunction is. Psychologists were trained to see what's healthy and what's dysfunctional, and to not be shy about pointing it out, because the only way you're going to heal is if you point it out and work it through. So that means conflict has to be part of it, but conflict leads to engagement. So you have healthy conflict. So
Right.
I will do things with faculty, when it's faculty or upset about something at different institutions, and say, let's get together and have it out. You get to say anything you want. I get to say anything I want. Let's have an honest conversation. And generally they do work out better, but that's really hard to do. And we're not usually trained in how to do that. And we're not usually trained in how to point out when things are working and things are not working. And by the way, not just with faculty. I'm writing an article now on why universities fail. It's a Forbes article coming out in a few weeks. The board of trustees at many universities don't know how to run a university, and they should be called out as well. They often are motivated by, these odd old I was a linebacker when I was, 30 years ago, and I want to say that a football team is needed at this university when we know football is losing millions of dollars every year at this university. But it doesn't matter. It's the only way we get students, and yada, yada, and all this nonsense. These are brilliant business people, but when you put them in charge of a nonprofit, they lose all their business acumen, it seems. Not all of them, by the way, but a significant number. And then it's the loud ones in the room. It's the same thing. Whereas boards of trustees we're seeing one university go down a week these days.
Yep.
Boards are primarily responsible for that. And boards need to understand. And there are boards that do understand. I'm very fortunate the board I have here, all in on building a new university, disrupting the university, understanding their role and helping me do that. But a lot of boards can't do that. That would mean changing what they're used to. And I've seen a number of different boards at different universities, talked with board members from many universities, and they vary in how well they're able to manage the impending doom sometimes for a university.
It's oftentimes there's more noise than there is signal, right? We
Yep.
just get lost in the noise and forget where that signal is. And if it's in your mission statement, then it better be a decent or very clear mission statement about what you stand for. And you better be so in love with that you're okay being disliked with anybody that's not in love with that.
Exactly. It really does take the disruptors. And what I've seen is a lot of board members who are disruptors, who are willing to make, waves out of the service of the student, they get drowned out, or they don't get brought into the board, or presidents will pick board members so their friends are there. And it's like it's this insidious way that universities operate sometimes to their own detriment. And the same with boards picking presidents. What sense does it make to have faculty involved or administrators involved in picking a president? Then you're picking the status quo president. You're not picking the president that's going to move the university and cause disruption and may save the university. That's really hard.
Let's talk about your students. Let's talk about your students, and then we'll bring this thing into a close. But your admissions page lists like TikTok, Salesforce, Boston Scientific. You've got Amazon, all as employer destinations. Walk me through how a student from your school engages with a hiring manager that maybe they've never heard of. Where does that linkage come from? How do you effectively build those bridges that takes all of the friction away?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So a lot of our faculty, number one, kudos to our faculty. They come out of industry. So our faculty are working there at IBM or at Meta and saying, hey, let me share with you you can do as a student, not just in the classroom, but then you take them there. There's a whole trip we're taking to the Verizon Center in San Francisco. It's going to be an amazing trip. Students don't get that experience at most places. But our students, we really do, we've built a new core curriculum, new general ed curriculums, completely integrated, industry validated. We did it in 6 months. So most universities change their general ed curriculum every 5 to 10 years. So it's good for the 5 or 10 years ago, and it's a diluted version, diluted and diluted version of what a core curriculum should be.
Is this your 90 credit? Is this your 90 credit program?
So yes, it's all our programs now have this general ed curriculum. Now we have 90 credits. So it's a 3-year, you get your master's degree, your undergraduate degree in 3 years instead of 4. By the way, the 4-year degree is a nonsense metric. Again, 4-year, 120 credits. It comes from 100 years ago, 100 plus years ago. We came up with this 120.
1096 in Oxford. We said 4 years.
Ironically, Oxford is a 3-year 90 credit degree, as is Cambridge. So if they can do it, why can't we? So we've built this out. We're one of maybe 20 universities nationally doing this. I do think this is the future of it. But going back to your question too, we have what's called our startup scholars. These are students that we bring in who we give free tuition, free room and board, and $10,000 toward a startup of their choice. And these are almost all first-gen students of color who have never could imagine going to college and certainly having this advantage. And what we're finding is we're retaining them. We had a fall to spring retention of 99% this past fall, spring. So we're doing something right because we also offer complete wraparound services for our students, including unlimited mental health, academic success counseling and advising. So it's all about bringing and going back to my
right. I was thinking whole student. Because oftentimes I will catch an Uber ride from the hotel to the university to do my thing, and the Uber driver says, "I used to be a student there, but they washed out because they were not seen. They didn't find meaning. They were a number."
Exactly. Well, my first experience at the University of Maryland was, this is way back when you did this, classroom of 400 students. They still have classes of 400 students. The professor put on the overhead projector, if you can imagine, if you remember what those are, put out a social security number of a student, when you could do that, said, I want to see this person after class. That's the level of intimacy you get at these large institutions, which I think is why large institutions in general are almost too big to fail. But we got to break down that myth, which is why we're building what are called neighborhood campuses. These are going to be in neighborhoods where maybe at an old library that's no longer being used, and just basically create mini campuses of 100 to 1,000 students in the community to get the education and get them a degree and get them either into grad school or into a job. That's the goal. Job, preferably if they want, but if they want to go to grad school, if they need to, we get them into that. That's our approach.
There's customer service, which oftentimes is, look at me. And there's customer engagement, and that is all the time, look at you. And you've turned that 100%, saying how important it is for us to see you and listen to you and adapt our everything to you. You are the model. You are the model, folks. If you're listening in now and just want to, have I think, bold aspirations to do more than just agree here, it's actually leaning in and starting to reconfigure some things. This is a place that I think you're going to want to check out. We're not quite coming in to do that yet because we have to do this superhuman right here. We've got to make sure that he is quite human. So I want to ask you a few just fun questions. We have a lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Is there a quote, Nick, that you kind of live by?
So I think it goes to, it's a good question. I think that it was the last name of the person was Estrada, who was a teacher who talked about if students can't learn the way you teach the way they learn. And I think that's the element. And you talked about customer engagement. That's it. That's it. Find out how students learn, and students learn differently. Students learn, and which is partly why even our curriculum is all neurodivergent integrated. We customize our degrees. Our MBA is customizable for the company. If a company wants the MBA, by the way, I meant to say this, you can customize it, which is also that learning piece.
A customized MBA for $10,000, folks. There's another commercial. And by the way, are you leading the institution where the curriculum now does not have a course number? It is actually just titled more "How might I?" or
how to. A lot of it is how to be a leader, how to, and all the stuff that is integrated into that. I'm sorry, multidisciplines are integrated into that each course.
Yeah.
So you're not just taking a math 101 course, you're learning how to use math in the real world. Earlier title of that was why math shouldn't be a 4-letter word, but that was my title and I got vetoed on it.
All right, we got to come back to Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl, absolutely. I struggle waking up too early.
How about In-N-Out or Shake Shack? Where are you going?
In-N-Out, absolutely. California, go California.
You're a Bay Area newcomer, so these are all probably new delicacies for you. How about a decision that you'd make 10 times over?
Taking this job and starting up a university. It's the most fun I've ever had as a professional.
Dream job. How about a best lesson? Your years of training therapists, that was act probably 2 of your life, right? That applies directly to you leading this startup university.
I think at the end of the day, it's be comfortable with yourself and listen to the feedback you get, take it seriously, even the negative feedback. But if it's not really valid, or it's more about them than about you, ignore it. Just let it go. Don't bother with it. It's their issue, not your issue.
All right, let's pull the fig leaf off here. A guilty pleasure that you're slightly embarrassed about.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't know how embarrassed I am, but I love bocce ball. So, as I've gotten older, now bocce's become my athletic approach to things. But I love playing the game. I'm awful at it. Ask anyone in my family, but I really enjoy it. I have a good time.
If you weren't a university president, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be doing some kind of tech startup. That would be fun. Love the spirit of the Silicon Valley. We need that more all around. We need that everywhere in this country, I think. That innovative spirit brings out the best in people. It doesn't drag them down. It lifts them up.
Absolutely. It's a cornerstone of what we've always been. It really is. One word for SFBU's future.
Model. We are the Star Trek Academy, Education Academy, higher ed institution of the future.
And if you can back that up, folks, get on that. Hit your cars up. Best career advice you've ever received.
Well, that would be yourself, and don't let others. What was it? Don't let the turkeys get you down. There was an old mug. You may remember, don't let the turkeys get you down. That's I think a really good saying, not just for career, but in general.
Fly with the Eagles. Last question. 25-year-old Nick, what is he thinking about where you ended up today?
I think he's in shock. I think probably he's much in shock. I had a very good friend who's this was a few years ago when I became president. He told her, out of all your friends, he's the least one I would have thought ever would have been a university president. And I think she's right. I think she's absolutely right. That's from high school. So, yeah, I think it's in shock. I think I would have been disrupting something, but never would have thought it would have been higher education. I didn't know what higher education was in my adolescence.
I'm glad you didn't. So you didn't have an unhealthy construct that you had to kind of figure out how to break through. I think we could go on and on, but I think for our listeners today, if you're a higher ed leader and just watching this from a model that worked 50 years ago, but it's not providing the results that you're looking for today, I think the question isn't whether disruption is coming, right, Nick?
It's here, and every university can do it.
Yeah.
It's just a will thing. It's got nothing to do. Every university has enough money. Every university can do it. You just gotta bear down, and it's going to look different, and you're going to have to do things like you've never done them before. But that's okay.
Yeah, you're either building it, or you're waiting for it to arrive and call yourself a replacement, because we got to get up and start hustling for that mission for the students that we serve. If they want to learn more about SFBU, where do they find you?
I'm right on the website under the leadership page. We have a lot of leaders doing some things. You've heard some of our other folks like Brad Fuster, our provost, Heather Herrera, our VP for Strategy Innovation.
You know how to pick them, boss. You know how to pick them.
I got lucky. That they came and took the leap of faith that we were going to do something special, and they are co-creating it along with me. None of this is my idea alone. It's all of us together doing something special.
I'm going to cap this off by saying, really, it is not about the most successful leader coming into an institution. It is that leader that can create a team that will disrupt the system, that will create a culture for others to look at and say, is that possible? That's the name of the game. And this has been such a delightful exchange today, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us.
So much enjoyed it as well, Joe. You have a wonderful day.
Peace. Thanks.